Welcome back to Iron Arena, your go-to channel for the real stories behind MMA legends. Today, we're diving deep into the life of one of the pioneers of mixed martial arts, Ken Shamrock. From his rise to fame in the early days of UFC through his struggles and comeback attempts to what he's doing now, we'll cover it all. Make sure to stick around till the end and hit that subscribe button if you want more MMA legend stories just like this. Rise of Ken Shamrock. Ken Shamrock was born Kenneth Wayne Kilpatrick on February 11, 1964 in Macon, Georgia. His early life was tough. Growing up in a rough neighborhood, Ken faced many challenges from a young age. His childhood was marked by struggles that pushed him to find an outlet. Wrestling became that outlet. By his teenage years, Ken was already showing remarkable talent in amateur wrestling, and it was clear he had a natural gift for combat sports. Ken's journey took a defining turn when he met Bob Shamrock, a wrestling coach and mentor who legally adopted him. Bob Shamrock introduced Ken to catch wrestling, a traditional grappling style that focuses on submissions and holds. This was a game changer for Ken. Catch wrestling would become the foundation of his fighting style, setting him apart from other fighters who specialized only in boxing, karate, or traditional wrestling. As MMA was emerging in the early 1990s, Ken was right at the forefront. The UFC was a new wild experiment, a no-holds-barred tournament where fighters from different disciplines faced off. Ken's unique blend of wrestling and submission skills made him a natural fit for this new sport. Unlike many early UFC fighters who were specialists, Ken was one of the first true hybrids. He understood how to mix striking, grappling, and submissions seamlessly. His fights with Royce Gracie became legendary. Royce was the king of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and had dominated the early UFC events with his submission skills. Ken's first fight with Royce was intense and controversial, ending in a no contest after time limits expired. But their rematch at UFC 5 is still considered one of the greatest fights in MMA history. Both fighters demonstrated incredible skill, endurance, and heart during their nearly an hour-long battle. This rivalry helped establish MMA as a legitimate sport worldwide. Ken didn't just fight in the UFC. He also traveled to Japan to compete in Pancrase, a hybrid pro wrestling and MMA organization. In Pancrase, Ken fought against some of the toughest fighters on the planet, legends like Masakatsu Funaki and Bas Rutten. These fights were brutal and technical, requiring Ken to fight multiple bouts in a single night, testing both his physical and mental endurance. His charisma off the cage helped him become a crossover star. Ken Shamrock appeared in professional wrestling organizations like WWE, bringing even more mainstream attention to MMA. His persona, intensity, and willingness to face anyone made him one of the first true stars of MMA. Ken's rise was not just about winning fights. It was about pioneering a new style of fighting, building a fan base, and helping MMA evolve from underground spectacle to mainstream sport. His impact on the sport is still felt today.
Shamrock was very smart. He was just like, stick with this first. There's a real shot here. And if you remember, he started in pro wrestling and then went over when you were there, right, in the early days of the UFC.
Yeah, he was dominant in MMA in the early days. He was one of the first guys to figure out conditioning. His gym, the Lion's Den, notorious for being absolutely brutal with their strength and conditioning routines. They would try to break you, and he would just try to let you know, like, the worst thing you want to be in a fight is tired. And you are going to get tired as fuck training with us so that the fight's going to be easy.
How do you think those guys would fare today?
I think guys like Ken Shamrock or Royce Gracie, they would rise today.
The decline. Despite his incredible success, Ken Shamrock's career eventually faced major challenges. The sport of MMA was evolving rapidly. Fighters were becoming more specialized, younger, faster, and better trained. Ken, who had dominated early on with his wrestling and submissions, found it harder to keep pace with the new wave of athletes who had more well-rounded skills. Injuries began to pile up. Years of grueling fights, training camps, and battles had taken a toll on Ken's body. He suffered from knee problems, shoulder injuries, and general wear and tear that limited his ability to perform at his peak. Long layoffs between fights made it harder to stay sharp and competitive. Ken also faced tough competition from rising stars like Tito Ortiz and his own adoptive brother, Ken Shamrock. These younger fighters brought new techniques, better conditioning, and a level of speed that challenged Ken's style. Several key losses in the late 1990s and early 2000s marked a clear decline from his prime. Off the cage, Ken's life became complicated. He dealt with legal issues, contract disputes, and personal struggles that distracted him from training. These issues often took him away from the focus required to compete at the highest level. Still, despite the setbacks and challenges, Ken never gave up. He continued fighting, showing incredible heart and determination. Even in his decline, his reputation as a warrior and a legend in the sport remained strong.
A lot, but I think what started it was the screw job with Bret Hart. I think that, for me, wrestling was about trust. Especially being in a wrestling ring where you're literally giving your body to people. And I was sold when I got there by everybody that you have to work with one another. And if you don't, then you're not going to be here. You have to work with each other. And you're going to have to be able to do jobs. It's just, that's part of it, right? You win, and there's different things that are going to happen, and you got to be good with it. You got to be okay with it. Your idea is about putting on a great match and nothing more. Putting on a great match and getting over whatever storyline you have to get over. And I bought into that. That's what I bought into. Like, I trusted that. And then when that screw job happened with Bret, it was like everything that I was preached to, that I was supposed to honor and trust, was gone.
The return. Ken Shamrock's love for the sport and his competitive spirit brought him back to the cage several times, even after his peak years. His comebacks, though not as dominant as before, showed the world that his passion was still burning bright. These return fights helped remind fans why Ken was such an important figure in MMA history. He wasn't just fighting for wins. He was fighting for respect, for legacy, and for the sport he helped build. His willingness to face tough opponents, even in his later years, inspired younger fighters. Ken's return was about showing that the fighting spirit never dies, no matter how many battles you've been through. The transition. After hanging up his gloves, Ken smoothly transitioned into other roles within the MMA world. He became a coach, sharing his vast knowledge and experience with upcoming fighters. His influence helped shape many fighters who competed at high levels. Ken also worked as a promoter and ambassador for MMA, helping grow the sport internationally. He appeared in TV shows, documentaries, and wrestling events, using his celebrity to raise MMA's profile. His ability to reinvent himself kept him relevant and respected beyond his fighting years. Legal battles. Like many fighters, Ken Shamrock faced legal issues throughout his life. From contract disputes with promotions to personal matters, these legal battles sometimes overshadowed his achievements. Though challenging, these struggles reflect the tough realities fighters often face outside the cage, dealing with business, management, and personal conflicts. Despite this, Ken has always worked hard to resolve his issues and move forward, showing resilience both inside and outside the ring. What Ken Shamrock is doing now. Today, Ken Shamrock remains a legendary figure in MMA. He spends much of his time coaching, running his own training camps and inspiring a new generation of fighters. His gyms are known for teaching the fundamentals of MMA and cultivating tough, disciplined athletes. Ken also stays active in media, frequently appearing on podcasts, interviews, and MMA documentaries. He shares stories from his career and offers insight into the sport's evolution. Beyond fighting, he's involved in charity work, supporting causes related to youth development and sports programs. Ken's commitment to giving back shows his dedication to using his platform for good. In many ways, Ken Shamrock is more than just a fighter. He's a pioneer, mentor, and ambassador who helped shape MMA into what it is today. Thanks for watching this deep dive into the life of Ken Shamrock. If you enjoyed this video and want more MMA legend stories, hit the like button, subscribe to Iron Arena, and turn on notifications so you never miss an upload. Let us know in the comments who you want us to cover next. Until next time, keep training hard and stay fierce.